future, we have privilege of and going through the topic of an immense relevance and opportunities, that is the redevelopment of project management consultancy, a great opportunity for the civil engineers in rapidly urbanizing landscape, particularly cities like Mumbai. Redevelopment is not just a construction activity, but is a complex process that shapes the future of our community. I welcome you all for this RL Nene Memorial Lecture 2025. That is a webinar actually. Now I request Engineer Shantilal Jain, or immediate past president of an ISSE, to brief on the importance of the founder of the late RL Nene Memorial Lectures. Jain sir.
Oh, hello. Thank you, Satam.
Yeah,
Today
thank you sir.
we are arranging this lecture in memory of Sri R.L. Nene sir. R.L. Nene sir is founder of Indian Society of Structural Engineer, and we, Dhargalkar, I myself, Mansi, all are Vadalkar, were absorbed in ISSE with his presence way back, long back, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And we had privilege to work with him. He was a reputed structural engineer in Mumbai, and I don't think he's any colleague, maybe live now, was very senior. At very senior age, he got
नाही
expired.
बोल
His
ग्रुपवर लिंक
family
टाकलेली आहे. हा
son
काय?
is also an engineer, but he must be in US now,
अरे पण हे कसं
in
केले
our
गेलं रे?
line only. And Nene sir established this ISSE to
हां हां
bring
हां
status of
दोन
civil engineer, structural engineer to a proper level. And he was very disciplined, and he found this. And with his blessings, today we
चालू
have
झाले
crossed
टाकले आहे
mark of
आय एस सी एस टी आरच्या
3,000
ग्रुपवर.
membership. And in his memory, every year we have decided to have a lecture. And I requested this time Umesh Dhargalkar to present today's lecture in his memory, and that will be very useful. And we feel blessed by Nene sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jain sir. And now to guide us through the today's vital subject, that is the redevelopment project management consultancy, a great opportunity for civil engineers. We are honored to have with us a distinguished expert and leading voice in field, Engineer Umesh Dhargalkar. Before I switch over to him, I will just introduce him. Engineer Dhargalkar is a founder, director, and CEO of the Dhargalkar Technoesis Private Limited, renowned consulting firm. His academic foundation is exceptionally strong, also holding both the Bachelor of Degrees in Civil Engineering and Master Degrees from the IIT Bombay. With over 2 decades of and rich and on experience, Engineer Umesh Dhargalkar has steering his firm to become a leader in a structural consultancy, rehabilitation, and particularly the project management for the redevelopment projects across the Mumbai. He's just not a practicing engineer, but also passionate educator. And through leader, he has been instrumental in training over 2,000 engineers and has a deep commitment to the sharing knowledge, which is represented by his creation of an invaluable online resources, redevelopment information, and comprehensive guide on housing societies navigate to the complexities of the redevelopments. Furthermore, his contribution to our own ISSE are significant. He has published numerous technical papers and served as an advisory trustee for the ISSE. His work is evidence to his belief in a structured, transparent, and knowledge driven approach to the engineering project. Today, he will be sharing his vast experience and insight on how the redevelopment project management consultancy present a great opportunity for the civil engineers. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Engineer Umesh Dhargalkar. Sir, we can eager to hear from you. Switch over to Dhargalkar, sir.
Thank you, Santosh. Good afternoon to you all. Are you able to see me and hear me, Santosh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, sir.
Yeah. So, thank you very much once again. It's indeed an honor to be here to talk about Nene sir and to deliver a lecture in his memory. Okay. So, uh, my memory about Nene sir goes back to about 2 decades when I was in my 40s, and I had recently joined ISSE. Um, and immediately, a very short period after I joined, he immediately gave me an assignment of to work on the objectives of ISSE. And we started with seminars and that time there were no webinars, so seminars and workshops. And um, um, together with Nene sir,
Kejuran
I
bahir kidhar?
organized for ISSE
हाँ?
and
And
with
तो
our
लंगड़ा अलग
ISSE
है.
team
Can you
a
six
number
मार रहे?
of seminars and workshops. I
It's a good
distinctly
mark.
remember two hugely successful seminars. The first one was when Bhuj earthquake struck, and we had a seminar at VJTI, which I believe was attended by almost 140 people at that point of time. It was on earthquake resistant design of structures. And then again in 2002, when the concept of structural audit came for the first time, we again, with ISSE, we organized one, uh, I'll say, workshop this time. And we gave the first guidelines which engineers use for several years. Then I also worked with Nene sir on publication of the manual of practice for professional engineers. So his approach was very simple. He used to give the responsibility as well as the freedom and stand in support. It's like that. This is what you need to do. But even he even openly used to say, but you decide what to do and you let me know how you want that to be done. I will not interfere. Even Nene sir used to say that. So that was the kind of freedom I enjoyed
अब रेलवे
personally
कैसे रहता
while
है ना,
working with
ऑफ
him.
स्टम्प पे बोलना चाहिए, फर्स्ट स्टम्प पे
Now
बोलो.
coming to uh, this is I would like to share his photo here in the fond memory of Nene sir. And really, again, truly honored to be here to deliver this lecture. Now coming to the subject matter. I'll take you back to a year something like 2008, maybe 17 years ago, when I was almost thrust with I would say an assignment or a project of redevelopment. I had absolutely no idea what redevelopment actually was. I had never heard of, I mean, I heard of FSI, but I had no clue about what it should mean, how it is to be calculated, how the FSI would mean. Even the most basics of the redevelopment part, I was thoroughly, I would say, ignorant at that point of time. But my clients, I have met in my life sometimes clients who told me quite often that if you, I told him very candidly, I have never done something like this. I said, but I've met clients who have said it doesn't matter, but yeah, we know your expertise, we know your education, so we still want you to work on this project. Now, with that, I started talking to myself and I told myself, well, redevelopment is what? Pulling down old buildings and then constructing new buildings. Now, out of that, right, out of that, I, as a structural engineer, like many structural engineers, I know about the structural design. I know how structural planning is done, structural design is done, how materials are to be specified, how I also I I have also studied geotechnical reports and also I'm conversant with that part also. Then construction management. So there's a lot of things which I know, right? So obviously I know that, okay, fine. It's fair enough to understand that I do not know a few things. But at the same time, I can also say that I know a lot of things which will actually matter when it comes to the development of a building from the technical angle at least. All right. And then from the project management angle also, because I had completed one construction project management assignment just before that. So I had that experience also. So I told myself, well, you don't know, I mean, you know so much of it, but you do not know a few things which for which you, I like, you will feel that that is a kind of void in you. And then the best approach to do that is not to learn those things. And then I decided to learn those things which I did not know through my projects itself. I talked to people as and when I had a lot of architect friends, I had other lawyer friends. So whenever I wanted some piece of advice, I used to talk to them. Now, during that period, what I realized, little bit of architecture is definitely required, but it's some huge misconception to think that redevelopment PMC needs to be an architect. Absolutely wrong. Okay, architecture, what is required in redevelopment is a very small fractional part of a redevelopment project. Legal aspects, very small, fractional part of redevelopment. Redevelopment is hugely about project management and a lot about engineering. Of course, we will definitely need to know about um, the DCPR regulations, architectural planning, a little bit about how approvals are to be secured. I don't have to go to uh, get an approval, but I need to understand that process. So all these things I decided that I would learn, and thereafter through my projects I learned. I mean, I was on a learning curve, and it was all new things which I had to learn to understand the redevelopment project in a manner which I understand it today. Now, let me tell you here, for all those of you who are here, all of you are believe are civil engineers. Let me tell you, civil engineers can be the best PMCs, not architects. Very clear. Okay. Only thing that they should want to do that to get into that profession. Now, if those of you who would feel that, array, but I don't know much about how the plans are approved, how this is done, how that is done. Now, part of that you can learn. But let me tell you, I still run my office as an engineering office. I do not have an architect in my office. I do not have a lawyer in my office. Okay. I have never gone to BMC or to MHADA in almost 2 decades of my redevelopment PMC experience. All these things, these are misconceptions which people think, especially structural engineers think. ओके, अरे ये सब करने को हमको तो कभी किया नहीं, हमको आता नहीं और वो बीएमसी में नहीं जमेगा, नहीं जमता है. Even I can't do that. I can't also go and secure approvals in BMC. That's not my cup of tea. But believe me, I never had to do that. Not even once. I never had to go to registrar's office. I operate from my office. I operate and I visit clients. I visit the. Sometimes I attend meetings outside. Sometimes on the site, and that's how I do my project. So come out of that shell or kind of a misconception or something, in which you feel this is kind of mysterious field. Not at all. Very simple field. Okay. And let me tell you, on a scale of 1 to 100, if you know, if you have an experience of something like say 70% or 75%, you know you are much better off than someone else, maybe an architect who has got an experience of 25%. And when I say 25%, I mean in terms of the expertise, architectural expertise required for
Sorry,
redevelopment.
unmuted.
You are 3 times more experienced. 3 times.
Sorry,
I
unmuted.
am not downplaying the importance of architects. Okay, they definitely have their field in which they are good. But then what I'm saying here
आता
is
बंद
that
झालं बघ.
an
आता
engineer
शांत झालं.
is best suited to be a PMC for a redevelopment project. And I was surprised recently. I've seen that not. I mean, there are few engineers also practicing as PMC, but overall, what I feel is that the kind of services which they give are really not up to the mark. Okay. Whereas experienced civil engineers, experienced structural engineers can add that value to the project and bring in their expertise to do really good project. Redevelopment by itself is extremely a complex project. But then it has to be formulated properly. The kind of model which we have developed in-house and which we use is something which every civil engineer can practice and start doing his redevelopment projects. Now, in the last, since I took the first redevelopment project in my company till now, in the last 17, 18 years, what we did is that as we worked on the projects, we developed a lot of SOPs, standard operating procedures. We developed a lot of standard systems, Excel sheets, okay, then a lot of frameworks and MIS in our management information service system in our own office. All we did this in our office itself, and we use these system standards and SOPs to drive our projects. Now, in last Christmas, on last Christmas, on 25th, hello, yeah, on last Christmas, we decided, we means that Technoesis, that my company, we decided that all those standard systems, SOPs which we have developed, we will put it in the public domain for anyone and everyone to use. So today you will find that we have developed a website. I'll talk about that a little more detail later on. But a website which we have developed is www.redevelopment.info for information. And on that website, we have put tremendous amount of resource materials, which actually, even on a broad scale, contributes to something like 350 steps of redevelopment, 350 end-to-end steps of redevelopment, along with their qualifier standards and everything, which anyone, I would suggest all you engineers, you can use that free of cost and drive your projects accordingly. We have given lots of systems there. And this is in public domain. This is that website is not for getting any remuneration. So with that, let me now take you to through the subject matter, which is essentially redevelopment project management consultancy, a great opportunity for civil engineers. Right. So how this has to be done in two ways. Number one, we have to broadly understand a redevelopment project. Okay. Uh, through the perspective of an engineer. In fact, let me also add to this. When I talk to you about that website, www.redevelopment.info, based on the website, I have conducted 10 informative webinars. Okay, almost 18 hours or 20 hours of work. 10 informative webinars on the website and on the redevelopment process with minute details, taking your project from phase 1 to the last phase 5, and that those videos or recordings of the webinars are also there on the website. So those of you, together with the website, if you want to understand the subject in more detail, in absolutely fact, I would say great detail. You know why? Because
ये रजू भाई नेट चला गया। ये देखो, ये देखो ना, मैं क्या पागल हो गया। ये देखो, अरे अपना नेट चला गया था। नाही हे काय इकडे हे झालं ना।
PMC is also.
मैंने कुछ
Some are housing society members.
अपना नेट चला
If you want to join that group, you are most welcome, because there are a lot of knowledge sharing which happens on that. So with that, let me take you to this. The first question, in fact, this goes with my good friends also, friends from IIT, my structural engineer friends. When I ask them, why don't you do it? So, a couple of my friends are doing project management consultancy, but for with and having a staff of something like 150 to 200 and doing project management, but they don't want to enter the field of redevelopment. Whereas my staff, I am here with a staff strength of less than 10, and we are doing redevelopment projects. So why is it that why are civil engineers shying away from doing the redevelopment project? Is it because no? Sometimes people say, I am a civil or structural engineer by qualification. So मेरा qualification civil engineer, as if that qualification prohibits him from practicing anything other than engineering, which is wrong. In redevelopment, so part of which is architecture. Okay, but so they sometimes feel a PMC has to be an architect. I don't have that qualification. And doesn't matter. Very little qualification, very little insight into architecture is required. And as and when you need that, there are people to advise you. There are books to refer to. Okay. Then you say, I practice as a structural design and rehabilitation consultant, but I have never been into BMC. How to get into the approval thing, etc. Not required. Second part, I don't much understand about FSI, architectural planning approvals. Of course, you don't understand, right? But you can always learn because there's not much to learn there. You are not required to plan, remember this. You are required to understand the plans. You are not required to secure approvals. You are required to understand those plans which could come to you as approved plans, which is much easier. If it was, if you were required to say plan the building, obviously that's an architect job. We cannot do it. It's best left to them. So then you also say, I have always stayed away from legal. Of course, all professionals, we are scared of legal matters. Okay. But that is something, in a redevelopment project, you don't have to have legal guy or even legal expertise. So that expertise will come from a legal advisor which will be appointed by your client or the society. Then same way, I don't understand the financial aspect. Okay, this is a techno-commercial project which has huge financial implications. So in a real estate, of course, real estate is all about money. Of course, technicalities, no doubt about that. But the project proponents always make it a point to put it as a financial project. But you don't have to understand financial. Another expert will come, appointed by your client, who will take care of that. Again, I don't have much staff for a construction PMC. If you want to take up works as construction PMC, you have to handle quality, progress, billing, measurement, documentation, so many things. Okay, so and a lot of manpower is required for that. But for the redevelopment project, which the way which we work, our model, okay, we have for major projects just one engineer at the site, and our job, even if we are called as project management consultant, it is basically what we do is project monitoring. We don't manage the project. Construction projects are, when the project goes for construction, they are managed by the developers site team. Our job is to monitor them on some baselines, like say baseline project schedule, then working drawings and things like that. So you are not putting so many engineers. Even the projects, something like 6,000 square meter plot project, you have got only one engineer at this, one trained engineer, trained in redevelopment. Okay, as to what he should see, what he should, I mean, exactly what he is not there like the site engineers of a normal construction project PMC. Okay. Now the question is, if all the engineers say yes, all these are, they feel as if मैं तो सिविल इंजीनियर भी नहीं हूँ, ये भी इतना ही करता हूँ. But and this is some of when we concluded those 10 webinars which I just talked to you about, some engineers have approached me and they said, these are our problems. We want to do this, but we don't know how to do that. So much of redevelopment is happening. It's Mumbai is all about redevelopment. Tens of thousands of people. Thane, yes. Pune, yes. Slowly. I mean, almost every city is going to have redevelopment because beyond a certain point, you cannot repair a building. So this is redevelopment is here to stay for decades. So with so much of redevelopment happening today, the question is, can I practice as a redevelopment PMC? The answer is an emphatic yes. And are there any guidelines and standards available? Well, the website which I told you about, www.redevelopment.info, a public domain website. You don't have to come to us. All the standards which you need are put there. in sequence and in a proper way. I'll give you a small demo of that later. But with that, with those standards and with your um, insights which you slowly develop and your engineering background, you can definitely do project management consultancy for a redevelopment project. Now, see, okay, we'll go. Now let's see what is how do we look at redevelopment? It's a model for urban renewal. We are not repairing anything. We are renewing. Okay, we are discarding the old building. We are putting up a new building. So, just for a basic understanding, how does the redevelopment project fundamentally work? So, what is redevelopment? It simply means demolishing an old building and constructing a new building in the same plot by utilizing its current FSI. Okay. Now, let's say FSI, which is the ratio of how much you can construct to the ratio to the area of the plot. Okay. So current FSI is say 3.375 and you have consumed or you have when
वो
the building
मिताली तो
was
नहीं
put
देना
up
जो
the
मिताली
FSI
नहीं थी
was
क्या?
say 1.
मिताली
So
थी क्या वो?
3.375 minus 1 2.375 is an additional FSI given to you today, which was not there when the building was constructed. You take, I mean, you when you construct that building, that much FSI is available, which when the developer comes, he looks at that FSI, okay, as his business potential, and then so when a building of that FSI is constructed, naturally there are flats which get generated for sale, okay, and then for the members also. The benefit of the additional FSI, let's say 2.375, is shared between the society and the developer, because when the developer puts in his money, say 100 crores if he puts in, maybe he wants 125 crore from that to come out to him. Okay, so that is the kind of profit which he wants. But then there is another component which is the balance, which realization of the sale from the balance FSI, which can contribute to the benefits for the society members. So that's how the concept works. Now, why do we do redevelopment? Okay, number one, because it's an our buildings are. Are you able to hear me? Because I seem to be frozen on the screen.
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. So audio is clear. So why redevelopment? Number one, because our existing buildings are old and they need frequent and expensive repair. So a stage comes beyond which repairs needs to be substituted by renewal or redevelopment. Well, when I say old, I'll say maybe, the buildings may be still looking good, may not be dilapidated, but then they lack essential amenities and infrastructure. Can you imagine a ground plus four building without an elevator? But there are so many of them. All right. Today we have realized that even climbing, when the age catches with you, climbing two floors also becomes a challenge, especially for those people, like say our forefathers, okay, our parents, who bought that flat in which we are staying now
जर हा व्हिडिओ काढायचा
in
बघा
an old building,
मेंढा बघ कसं येतं
and they are not able to climb two stairs.
आणि आत्ता
So
आमच्या
that
घरात
makes no
नाही
sense in today's context, or wherein we want amenities which have to be relevant today. Then the families are growing, then there need to be bigger flats, and that is why even the society members, who are the owners of the plot, how does the model work? Society gets in their plot, okay, that which is in their custody. Developer brings in the money to do the project, and that becomes a sort of a joint
अरे
venture
बोल
in
नेट
which
घेऊन
both
ये.
parties have a win-win situation. So, for the society people, they would look at this as the easiest way to get a bigger home and better amenities and better quality of life without spending their own money. They are not spending any money. And they are also protecting their neighborhood. They are buying a, I will not say buying, they are going to get a new flat where they have spent their childhood. Okay. So that's the beauty of redevelopment from the user's point of view, from the society's point of view. Now, When this project happens, there are essentially two agencies. One is the society. When I say society, through its managing committee and consultant. So operations are done through the managing committee and the consultants meaning which consultants? PMC, lawyer, um, financial consultants if they want, tax consultants if they want. Okay, so though all those consultants they are appointed by the society through the managing committee. Right? So if you are a PMC, you will be interacting with the managing committee. So there may sometimes you need some other consultants also. For example, if your plot, if you don't have a conveyance about your plot, okay, then that society which doesn't have a conveyance may need a consultant for getting the conveyance. So there may be a need for more than one consultant. And on the developer side, so it's a game which is played between the society and the developer, financial game. So when I say developer, he operates through its departments, consultants, and external agencies. Which are the departments? When you are talking to a developer company or thinking about a developer company, technical department, engineering department, legal department, finance department, liaison department, marketing, etc. One. Then he will also be hiring external consultant, architectural, structure, liaison, etc. So he will also be having uh, external consultants. So he will hire his architect. Get the point? So he will hire his architects, and that architectural planning, which is architect, his architect will produce. We as PMC, although we do not have that architectural background, we as PMC, uh, we will be reviewing those plans. We won't be planning this. Okay, then camera. No.
So your voice is not coming. Hello, Umesh sir. Hello. Hello, Umesh sir. Your voice is not coming. Hello. Hello. Mayur. Hello.
हेलो.
Mayur.
हाँ सर. हेलो. हेलो. हेलो.
Mayur.
हॅलो.
धारगळकर सरांचा आवाज येतो.
आय थिंक ते मग काय लिव्ह झाले का काय चुकून बाय चान्स.
जस्ट एक मिनिट कॉल कर त्यांना.
हॅलो. काय प्रॉब्लेम झाला का सर अचानक बाहेर गेलेत? हां जरा बघा चेक करा जरा. Shit. नाही चालू माझ्या इथे. हॅलो. अरे ओके नाही पण ते लेक्चर चालू आहे ना म्हणून म्हटलं. आले 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 आले. पैसे सरांचा फोन आला.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so good. So you can hear me? Good, good, good. So I went into hiding for a couple of minutes. Um, so back with you. So I was on this slide, which presents redevelopment as a phased journey. Now, typically a redevelopment project happens in 5 sequential phases. Okay, so there is something interesting about this. Each phase has its own features, and I would say so. So the first phase, this is where this lays the foundation for a project. It starts with the inception of a project, then the PMC is selected, and then the PMC undertakes a feasibility study. He does the feasibility study. Okay. Now, what you see in bracket here, S and B, there are abbreviations shown down below. S for society, P for PMC, B for bidders. Later on, they will come. L for legal advisor, and D for developer. So you can see here that this is their internal study in a society, wherein only there is a society and the PMC. They are the only people who are involved in phase one, which can last for 4 months. Inception and PMC selection can take 2 months, and the feasibility study can take another 2 months. Right? Once the feasibility report is done, then the next stage is to go to tendering to select a developer. Right? So we have now finished our internal study, and we are now going out to the market to shop for a developer. Okay. So how do we do that? We design a tender document, float the tender document, and then the developer is selected eventually. Okay. Now in each of these phases, from the PMC's point of view, at a broad level, what would be the PMC's activities? We will be seeing that in subsequent slides. Okay. And for each of these phases, if you want to see which are the activities which are the society should also do, and the PMC also is a very, I would say, detailed kind of action points, then you will have to visit www.redevelopment.info. Okay. So here, what you do is that when formulating a tender and floating it, so it takes something like 3 months, and then the selection process takes about 5 months. So you can see here that the project foundation is laid in the first phase, and then you get the developer on board at the end of the second stage. And for phase one and phase two, you have spent something like 1 year, 4 plus 8 months. I am giving you a typical idealistic condition so that phase one and phase two can be wrapped up in 1 year. Quite often they are not, so it might take 15 months, it might take 18 months, depending on the situation and at hand for for each different project. Then comes the pre-construction phase. So developer is on board now, right? So you don't have all the freedom to do things only within yourself. So you already have a developer with you, and then the project formulation, contractual formulation happens. You are still sitting, you meaning that your members are still sitting in their own existing flats, but there is a legal documentation happening. There are plans happening. That is, I would call it a technical documentation, which find then one day that development agreement is signed, the plans are approved, and then the plot is vacated. Now, here you see again, society is leading, then society lawyer, because there is legal documentation. PMC is at the third level, third stage, because there are plans here, and then there's the developer. So, can you see here that the lawyer is coming only in the third phase? Okay, and this would take up again almost 1 year. So, phase one, two, and three, broadly 2 years, and then comes the construction, about which we are, I would say, civil engineers are, I would say, masters. So there is a construction phase. Here you can see D comes first, because now the project has to be driven by the developer, then monitored by PMC, and then society has to be there because society is the client. A span of something like 3 years. And then finally the repossession. This is the phase which most PMCs ignore. Coming back. OC आ गया वापस आ जाओ is a wrong concept. The question is whether, as from the engineering perspective, we have found that many times, almost always, that the OC comes, the building is not even 90% and not even 80% ready. It's not ready for to move in. Okay, there are a lot of things which are bad. So to to avoid that, what is done is that the process of repossession, although it takes 1 month to come back physically, it is initiated 3 months in advance. Okay, so what actually the PMC does in each of these phases, let's have a look at that. But before that, when I said PMC job is to monitor the project, the very effective way of monitoring project is what? Tracking a project. Now, how minutely you track the project, the control on your project depends on that. Your control on the project depends on how minutely you track the project. So the website which I talked to you about, www.redevelopment.info, gives you several milestones. But which are the most major milestones? From an engineering perspective, if I have to cover, I got just to say something like just 1 hour to talk to you about. So if I have to cover all that thing in a limited period, then I would say the first milestone would be resolution of society to undertake redevelopment. Okay. Then the appointment of PMC, the floating a tender, selection of developer, execution of development agreement, municipal approval, vacating premises, commencement certificate, occupancy certificate, and finally repossession. I again seem to be frozen. Please confirm whether you are able to hear me at least.
Yes, sir. We are
Okay.
hearing.
Okay. Fine. So if you are not able to see me, that doesn't matter. Now, okay, the redevelopment project, the initial parts, like say when you put your child in school, he goes to KG first, nursery and KG, like that, correct? So, and learns the basic etiquettes, learns the basic disciplines of, the school. We stays with him through his, I would say, primary school, then the secondary school, high school, whatever. Okay. So, like that, a project starts with a basic document which is called 79A. It's which is a document which talks about redevelopment. In fact, that is the document which formulates the initial discipline for a redevelopment project. Now, what are the essential points about 79A of MCS Act, Mumbai Cooperative Societies Act? Okay, Master Cooperative Societies Act. Now, it gives you the guidelines to start the project and stay on course initially for a certain period. Something like maximum period of which it handles in the project. Now we just saw when I showed you the phase 1 to phase 5, we saw that a project typically becomes a 60-month project. If you which out of which phase 1 and phase 2 is 1 year, phase 3 is 1 year, and 3 years going to construction. Now, out of those uh, 60 months, you know, 79A talks about barely 15 months or sort of that much time. And what does it tell? It lays down the basic guidelines. Why does it lay down the basic guidelines? Because as it is mentioned at the beginning of study, anyone can, this is a very simple document. Nothing special about this. So if you see, if you read the 1790, right in the beginning, they have said that so many projects fail redevelopment. So they are putting some kinds of discipline in the project so that the failure is restricted. That is the attempt of the government to help redevelopment. So these guidelines first came in 2009 and then again on 2019, which are the current guidelines, to bring in the discipline to avoid pitfalls in cooperative housing societies. It talks or it lays a great stress on transparency and consensual and informed decisions. Then it also talks about two general body meetings, the conduct of general body meetings, which are essential to the project. It doesn't limit you to two general body meetings. You can have as many general body meetings as possible, but then um, it talks about only two general body meetings. And then it talks about the appointment of architect and PMC as a project guide. Now, this is one problem here. They have said architect or PMC. Now, that this is one of the reasons why people tend to believe, the housing society members, or maybe even some professional like us, civil engineers, that this is a field for architect. The funny thing is that they have also mentioned the PMC. Okay, but generally, what they also say is that architect or PMC from the government panel. Then it becomes even more confusing. Which government panel? Because we civil engineers, we don't have any government panel like Council of Architecture, right? So people sometimes tend to think, "अरे तो ये हमारा field नहीं है," but it is not so. Like I have been practicing for almost 2 decades now, and selection of they also say that 79 says that selection of developers should be done through tendering. Um, and they also recommend for transparency that a website should be put in place for redevelopment project for each society so that the members know what's happening at the project level. But remember, 79A is only about internal governance of the society for a redevelopment project. It doesn't, it, it falls way too short of the project itself. Project is hugely complex. 79A is only talking about that initial discipline in a society to start or to begin a redevelopment. There is nothing beyond that. But all the same, that's an important document with which you should start your project. Now, it doesn't, as I said, it doesn't have a comprehensive project approach. It limits itself to the conduct within the society. There's no project approach. Can you imagine a 10 or 12 page document covering an entire development? It's not possible. And it's not even intended also. Because it is saying thereafter that a PMC should come on board and he should guide the society to do the redevelopment project. So this comes into effect only for the formative stages, the initial stages up to development agreement and not beyond. Now, as I said, there is an acute shortage of good civil engineers as PMCs. And some misconceptions which I talked to you about at the beginning, we have been living with. अभी भी बहुत सारे लोग हैं जिनको लगता है कि अभी not just redevelopment anywhere. When a building is constructed, the architect constructs it. Nobody knows civil engineer. Nobody knows structural engineer. Nobody knows contractor. Only the two names which come is who is the developer and the architect. Okay, but then so we at least as professionals we have to come out of we have all of us our fraternity has suffered from these misconceptions, and all of us we are aware about it. Then another big misconception is that people are so much kind of rooted on approval. IOD आया तो as if service IOD and OC बस nothing in between. I have come across so many people who have idea, project work. So always they feel IoT is so damn important. And because of this reason, this reason that uh, the notion of architect being a PMC has also been strengthened. In fact, um, I I am. Are you aware that when the structural audit came, the concept of structural audit came, the rule says that
त्यांनी
the
काय केलं
structural audit
ते
should be
आपल्यापेक्षा
undertaken
जायची
by
बंद केली ना
architect.
त्यांची काय
Yeah,
म्हणतात
it was
स्पेस
ISSE. At
त्यांनी
ISSE, I
कशासाठी
was
हे
working there
करते
that time. It was through
गेट
ISSE
वेट बंद
that
केलं
we
ना सगळ्या
had to
पटकन
get it
नुकसान होतं ना
amended.
पुरा घुमके जाना
But
पड़ता है
still,
ना
I believe that in the bylaws of
वो लोग
this thing, bylaw number I believe
हाँ
76
तो वो भी बंद
talks
करे
about architect to do structural audit. So this is the kind of these are the reasons why people still feel that uh,
पागल लोग हैं जो
redevelopment is something which architects are best suited to do, which
नहीं
is
जो
a
भी है
myth.
अपना पर जो
So
जो वही
PMC
है
should be on government. Or they also say 79 also says that the PMC or the architect should be on municipal or government panel. As I said, architects have the council of architecture, whereas we as PMC we do not have a registered on any panel. In fact, there is no such panel. PMC में भी ऐसा कोई पैनल नहीं है, गवर्नमेंट में भी ऐसा कोई पैनल नहीं है जो PMC के लिए, प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट कंसल्टेंसी के लिए. But we have to
बंदा ही
interpret
उनका
that in this
ट्रक है
thing,
ना
this
फॉरेस्ट का
way, that if
ये
we are
है
registered and have a license of structural engineers, we are well qualified
हाँ वो भी उसने
to
खरीदा है ना
act as
एकदम
PMC, and I am an example of that I am doing it for the last 2 decades. Now let's see what happens in each phase. I said that phase one is laying a foundation through a feasibility study. Okay. Now what you see here is the PMC's role. What the lines which you see in blue here, those are the only points where you will need some architectural support to begin with.
डायनासोर में चला
Later
क्या
on, you can be on your
तो
own.
आपला एक है ना
So study the information and documents for the plot,
हाँ
then assist the society in finalizing the carpet areas, because all the carpet is the existing carpet area is they are used as the yardstick for getting the benefits of redevelopment. You must have heard that extra additional carpet area of certain percentage, say let's say 30%, is specified as 30% of the existing carpet
सारा का
area.
सार पिए
Corpus as a benefit is specified as say maybe 3,000 rupees per square foot of existing carpet area. So existing carpet area is something which has to be finalized. So it is finalizing the base carpet area is a second stage. Then choosing DCPR regulation. Today there are many regulations under which redevelopment is done. I just if I have to give you numbers for those of you who have heard about these numbers, redevelopment can happen under regulation 33(7)(b), 33(11), 33(20)(b), so many. 20, okay? There are so many. In fact, I am also fully not aware of all these regulations, and I don't need to be. Whenever there is certain regulation, I sometimes consult some of my architect friends, get some work done from them only to that extent, and then I am on my own. So only to that extent, I sometimes sometimes a friendly consultation, sometimes it's a professional consultation. When we
मी म्हटलं होतं काहीतरी एक जरा होईल
pay the architect for getting that information, put in a proper structure, and we use that information to put in our reports and then continue with our redevelopment project. Then estimate cost, revenue, and returns for the project and prepare a feasibility report. Okay, and then you will have to attend certain general body meetings also, approximately three in the first phase. So here the PMC's job is to prepare a feasibility report, a project feasibility report, which essentially consists of technical feasibility and commercial viability. Nothing, I mean, there's no special, I mean, this is something new which you'll have to do, but this doesn't involve a lot of complexities. It's very simple doing the feasibility report if you have understood the costing part. Now there is one cost here. You can see here, that is why I have prepared this second slide. There is one cost here. Construction cost we can estimate. Yeah, it is so many rupees per square feet. You don't have to sit with drawings and work out because work out the cost from the plan, because there are no plans at this stage. There are no plans at this stage. So it's like, you have to work out the RCC area from FSI, and then you can say maybe 3,750 rupees per square feet. So you get the construction cost, which depend 3,700, 3,500, depending on where you are constructing. Okay. Then construction cost is there. Then there is a premium cost, premium to be paid to BMC, TDR cost, approval cost. This is where sometimes I need some support from my architect friends or professional, or I would say associates. Okay. Once that comes in, what I put is that I put that part after due verification into my feasibility report. Then there is then the benefits, say corpus and corpus rent, etc., which costs also have to be factored. Very easy. Stamp duty, bank guarantee, marketing taxes with little practice. You can. We are not going to in detail. We are not going to do stamp duty calculations. We are going to have some rough idea about what the stamp duty would
वो
be.
20% PAP रहता ना जो देने का मान
Then
लो
there can be
कैंसिल
revenue.
कर दिया बोलते हैं
So money coming in.
पेमेंट
Cost
नहीं
is the
देना
money
पड़ेगा ऐसा
spent.
बोला है
Revenue is money which comes in through sale of flats or shops or car parks.
हाँ
That can be estimated based on the market rate,
तो वो
which is
बढ़ेगा
sale
अभी उसने
from.
अभी
You
इसका
can
भी
get
किया है
getting
अभी अभी ये हफ्ते
selling
चल
rate
रहा है
around is something the brokers can help. The developers with which you are working, they can help, or you can also get from um, some websites, okay, like magic bricks and all. You can get those rates and you can work out the revenues. And then there is a feasibility study when you present gross profit and returns. I know I'm going to a little fast here because I have to cover a lot of slides. Again, for more details, you are most welcome to visit the website and check out the videos. So gross profit and returns, internal rate of returns, and initial investment. So these are the three criteria. How much is the gross profit for a developer? How much should you allocate it to him? Then what would be the internal rate of returns for his investment? A little bit of financial concept which you can learn very easily. Then what would be his initial investment? And finally, what would be the benefits in form of additional area, purpose, rents, etc., which would come to the society. So this is a stage
ओके हाँ
where the foundation of the project is
ओके
laid.
हाँ कल वो
And what you saw here are the activities in which the PNC will be involved.
आ रहा
Now
है
comes project two, phase two, which is
आरती में आता
formulation
क्यों
and assignment. Assignment means selecting a developer. So tendering and developer selection.
तो केदार को
Now,
बोलना चाहिए मैं केदार को
you as civil engineers might have handled tenders in some different capacity. This is a different kind of tender. Otherwise, the procedure remains the same. Okay. So we have to prepare. As PMC, we are required to prepare,
बोला जल्दी जाके उधर
discuss,
पाला
and finalize tender documents, which essentially consist of technical bids and commercial bids, right? And you have to define the entire project in the tender document. Well, initially when we designed the tender document, we struggled a little bit. Right now we are sitting with the top class tender documents, which we
हाँ
have
मैंने बोला
evolved
है
over a period of time. Then we have to assist
नहीं
our
एक्चुअली मैं
clients,
भी
which
क्यों
is
किया है उसने
typically a
बोला कि अभी
society,
आज ही आ
in
जाओ
floating
या
tender,
अगले हफ्ते में वो
conducting
नहीं है
pre-bid meetings,
फिर ये
opening
अगले
of
हफ्ता नहीं है
bids,
फिर 2-4 दिन
then prepare a comparative
फिर
statement,
बाद बोला
analyze the bids in
फिर
our own way, then
हाँ हाँ
assist
पर वो
the
टाइम पे नहीं
society
था
in
मेरे पास
discussions and negotiations and
मतलब गोल्ड
shortlist
जोन
of the
जो
bidders,
करते हैं ना ज्वेलर बोला
assist
उधर विजिबिलिटी पहले चाहिए ना
our client in
तो उसका कैसा है
bidder
हर
site
जगह पे चार
visits.
पांच बैंक में
Once
अपॉइंटमेंट
the
रहता है
shortlist is done, then visit their
अभी आईबी
site
में गया कम से कम 4 लोगों
to
ने मेरे
have
आगे
a
से आईबी
first
किया बोला
hand
बंदे ने गोल्ड लोन
kind
किया
of understanding
उसके
about
बाद भी वो
their construction practices,
उसको रिन्यू
and
करना
then
चाहिए
call them and assist the
तो
society
कम
in
किया थोड़ा
conducting the
समय
developers
अरे
presentations in the
जरूरत है ऐसा हो
society
गया
to the
राजू
members, and finally assisting in selection. PNC doesn't select a developer, but he can assist the society in selection of a developer. Here also you'll have to attend something like 3 general body meetings. Now, phase three. Now you have selected a developer, and now the time has come to lay down the contractual framework. This is where now the construction project management, the pre-construction part starts. Okay. So what goes into pre-construction? Now look here.
मेरे को भी कम खर्चा
As I
आया
said,
गणपति
legal
चाहिए
documentation,
और गणपति
plans, and then vacating. Three things here. Legal documentation, plans, approval of the plans, and once the approval or ID comes, then
वही
vacate.
करना है ना
Now, this is again a small, I would
भाई
say,
वो गणपति
a
लाया कौन
slide
फ्रेंड है
of
ना गाँव
only
से
a few important actions from the PMC's side.
अभी करना पड़ेगा ना
Review the
क्या
letter
करें
of intent, which is a legal document. Here he goes into a review mode.
नहीं
He is not the one
अक्कल
who
की
is
बात
creating
उनकी
it.
अक्कल बड़ी की भैंस बड़ी
So
है
the
अभी
lawyer makes that letter of intent,
अभी स्वामी
PMC,
समर्थ का हम लोग
with the
गणपति
on
लाएंगे
the
मतलब
basis
वो
of the
अवतार
tender
में
document, he will review that and point out things
नहीं बात
which are not aligned with the
मैंने
tender
तो बोला
document.
तुम कुछ मत करो मैं
Then
कर
review
लूंगा
the development agreement, power of attorney, and PAAA, which is called the individual member agreement or permanent alternate accommodation agreement. All three legal documents. The society lawyer will prepare, and they will finalize between the society lawyer and the developers lawyers. But since we have prepared tender, we have to make sure that these documents from the techno-commercial perspective are aligned with the tender document. That is all. That is all our involvement is there in this legal framework. Then comes architectural floor plans, right? Now, see, since we are technical people, since we are engineers, I do not have to
कि
go to
भाई
any architect
फोटो
for
निकाल के दे रहा है
reviewing of progressive
हाँ
review. Why I say progressive review? Because there can be multiple reviews. You make suggestions on plan to the developer's architect, then he revises, then it comes back to you, have to you do the review again, then you send it back again. That's how it goes. That's why I'm calling it a progressive review of architectural floor plans. Now, with so much of practice, so much of insight, we have developed our own checklist, okay, which is also put on the website, how to review the architectural plans. So, what we do is that we can review the plans in-house. You too, as civil engineers with little experience, can review the architectural plans. But when it comes to once the architectural plans are finalized between the society and the developer, then the municipal plans are prepared. Okay, wherein there are open spaces and things like that. Now
हाँ
that for
रिपोर्ट
that
आने के लिए
purpose, FSI statement, etc. For that purpose, we involve one of again our architecture associate. So you see that there's a blue highlight there. Okay, that is where I need a support from an an architect. Then comes the allotment of flats. Your plans are now frozen, and you now need to, for whatever number of members, 100 members, you have to allocate flats to all those members there. So that can be also there are two, three standard methods of allocation. Okay. Nothing great about that. And then advise conditions for vacating. Now the time comes uh, when the members are required to vacate. Now, whether it is safe to vacate at that point of time from different angles. In a tender document, we always mention that what are the things which the developer is required to do before asking the members to vacate their flats. It's there in the tender document, okay, and it's there on the website also. We put it there also. So what we need to do here is that when the IOD has come,
हो चालू
okay,
आहे ते लक्ष द्यायला लागतंय
right,
मध्ये मग
we have to
आमदारांनी
refer
बंद
to
झालं
that
सगळं
the
आणि
same
दुसऱ्यांदा
piece
काय
in the
झालं
tender and
दार्जिलिंगकर सरांना कुठे कॉल आला ते 2
check
मिनिटं
with
बाहेर गेले
reference to that whether those things are not. This is the job of the PMs. Now,
दुसऱ्या
for
दिवशी
that
ऑफिसमध्ये
purpose,
हा
uh,
तर त्यांचं
I
90
mean,
मिनिटं
those are
आणि
the things. Some payments to be made. IOD आया की नहीं. Then whether insurance has been secured, whether the developer has given the project schedule, such things are there. Okay.
त्याच्यावर लक्ष
Then there
द्यायला
is
मधीच
advice again
होतं
on
ना
conditions
मध्ये मी
for
नशीब
plot
न्यूज
handover.
बघत होतो
There are
आणि असं
two
खाली
conditions.
ठेवलं
One is
आणि इकडून हे
to
गेलं
vacate the
पटकन काढला आणि
flats,
हातात
one,
ठेवला
and there are two. Second set of conditions is you might have vacated the flat, but for legal handover of the plot to the developer so that he can demolish the building and start construction of a new building. Okay. So these are the two things which are there in the tender document, also on the website, with the help of which this checking is done, and then the um, project goes to phase 4. Now you have vacated the plot, the project has been handed, or the plot has been handed over to the developer, and the time has come for starting construction when the CC comes. Right now, here, this is where civil engineers can put in significant value, extremely important for us, something which we know well, and something which most other consultants don't know. I know a lot of PMCs, a lot of architects who are taking on the project, and they don't go to this stage at all. They only provide their services only up to uh, the stage of vacating, or some even only up to the stage of agreement, because 79A says so. But there are practically your client will want you as a PMC to stick to the project until the new building is completed and you want to come back to the new building. So in that sense, when the construction is happening, believe me, you can have add so much of value for those 3 years. Not that you cannot, not that you won't add value to the first 3 phases. You will definitely add, because your working style will be different. It will be more rigorous, more detailed as compared with most PMCs. I know it for sure. But then for this phase, this is distinctly our phase. Now what do we do? This is a period from vacating to completion, approximately 36 months. So what is the nature of this phase? Actual construction is happening. What you need to do here, track the progress, track the quality, check the quality. There is no cost here. Typically when you take up a project for construction PMC, construction project management, billing and cost control, etc., estimation, they form a significant part of it. Now here, the developer has given an offer and he has agreed to absorb all the costs. So the cost factor completely goes out of this phase. There's nothing to be seen. Whether if some additional, if the developer has say allocated or say estimated say 20 crores for construction cost, let's say, okay, if the construction cost becomes 23 crores or 25 crores, we as a society PMC are not at all affected. When you do construction PMC for contractor, it affects him a lot because your client is putting in the money. Here it is not so. Who is putting in the money? The developer, who is appointed on a turnkey basis. So all risks from the market, okay, if the cost goes up or something, or anything, any error or something, okay, entire responsibility is on the developer. The only responsibility on the society is that of the legal title. The plot should belong to that. If there is a defect in title, obviously society has to take that, responsibility. Otherwise, this entire project is handed over to the developer as a contract, as a turnkey contract. With all, he has to absorb everything here. Okay. And at the same time, if the rate goes up selling it, risk is his. The profit, if he makes more money, that also goes to him. If his profit drops, the loss goes to him. Loss meaning the reduction in profit will go to him. The society will get only the fixed promised benefits. So what we do here is that progress and quality. How do we monitor progress? We take from the developer a detailed project schedule, something which is worked out on Primavera or Microsoft, and we use that as a basis and we monitor. I'm saying monitor, I'm not saying manage. We just monitor, or I would say, track the progress activity wise. Like that, there are quality. Now, quality is a process. I don't want to talk about that. Quality is not only materials. Quality is about specification. Quality is about drawings. Quality about workmanship. Quality is about materials. Quality is about supervision. Quality is about everything that has been, uh, specified in the tender document. There's so much about quality. We have to step out of that thing that quality is material and workmanship. Absolutely, it starts from the specifications which are there in the tender document. But that, okay. Then the working drawings have to be there. So we monitor the project with the help of the working drawing. So what are our roles? Oh, I mean, what are the roles of developer? Construction for now to do the construction, to complete the project with promised quality, with within the time which is committed, okay, and the cost which is on him, and with statutory compliance. It's all on the developer. The responsibility is on the developer. But PMC will do monitoring of that, tracking of that, lot of documentation, coordination, and reporting. And this is possible with one engineer at the site for a project of something like 5 to 6,000 square meters of plot area with 3.37 FSI, 375 FSI. Or if the plot goes something like 10, 12,000 square meter, maybe one more engineer, not more than that. And it's possible to control that project that way. Control meaning control the monitoring, not actual control of the project. And the society's role here is interim approvals. Society has to, when the project is going on, there is some approvals which I'm not talking municipal approvals. I'm talking about approvals of materials, approval of systems, approval of sample plat, anything like that. So that is where the society comes into picture. Otherwise, this is a phase where the developer has to perform and the PMC has to track his progress. Reference documents. What are the reference documents with which the PMC will monitor the project? Development agreement, contractually, approved plans, building permits. I mean, these are the basis, correct? So working drawings, material and work specifications, BIS codes, project schedules, and milestones. Now, what is okay? I'll skip this. Okay, anyway, I'll rush through this. PMC's role, what he does here, he captures data every day through, he means this is our system I am explaining, and the system which is given in the website. So, daily data capture through our site engineer. We capture all the data, whatever is happening at the site, in a very structured form. Then there are weekly tracking through PMC site visits. Then monthly project review meetings, which are joint review meetings which are held at the site, and then a monthly report which gives some information to our clients such as project summary, status of drawings, quality report, progress review report, then the records of visits and meetings and important decisions. And okay, there are we as at PMC. This is a slide which I picked up on one of my other presentation. So which also talks about we as Technoesis, we give our client a facility to track their project online. I won't talk about that because you can have a demo of you can see a demo on our website. Now project closure, wherein your client will come back to your uh, uh, new flats. Okay, it's called repossession, or it's also called photo. Photo meaning handing over and taking over. Handing over, taking over. So the developer hands over
एकटे
and
झाले
the
ते
society or,
एकटे झाले ते
takes over the project. Now, what is PMC's role
पन्नासच
here?
चालली
Mainly to prepare the snag list in the members' flats
हां
and get them rectified from the
दादरला राहिला जरा
developers team. Okay. Now the members flats, external common areas, services, amenities or equipment, as an exhaustive snag list is to be prepared the the rectification is to be done by the developer. Then assist and advise the society in the photo procedure, handing over, taking over procedure with documents. When the society comes in, right,
हां
takes possession uh, of the new building, they should have all the documentation which has been prepared by the developer, which is building permits, occupancy certificates,
सगळं
approved
आधी
plans,
आपल्यात असतो
as-built drawings, approvals, quality certifications, warranties, AMCs, etc. of everything that has to be there.
सध्या
Now,
सगळं सध्या
let
सगळं
me tell you,
सध्या सगळं
we
सुपर सुपर आहे
engineers, we as engineers only we can do all these things. This kind of detailed working is not something which is possible for most other PMCs, and I have not seen this kind of thing being done by
तो
uh,
मैडम इंदौरचा छे
that
ठीकच
many
आहे पण
PMC.
सही नाही आहे.
And then finally, the PMC has to
हे
prepare a
सही नाही
project
सांगितलं ना
completion report.
इंदोरचं ते काय ते
Now, I'll just tell you, I will show you the website which I talked to you about. In fact, there are a few slides about website, but I will skip them. If any of you are interested is interested in the presentation, I don't mind sharing that through ISSE. Now, can you see the website? You can see the website. Okay. So this is the website which I was talking to you about. It is called Successful Redevelopment. Okay. But the URL of the website is www.redevelopment.info. Now, I already told you that whatever SOPs, standard systems which we developed at Technoesis during our practice as PM project management consultants for
मला आलं
redevelopment,
वाटतं बहुतेक.
we have put down almost all of them in this for public knowledge. For those, so if you are a PMC who want to do your projects, this is something which you can, use as a strong guideline, not just strong guideline. This is kind of manual which you can use that. Okay, and this is always there with you because this is on the website. You don't have to carry it with like a book or anything. So what does this website do? What you can see here, that what you are looking at the home page. Okay, www.redevelopment.info. What you see here is on the left hand side, you can see those 5 pages which I talked to you about: feasibility study, tendering, pre-construction, construction, and repossession. Okay, they are basically links. Each link for one page, each link for a page which opens for that page. There are 5 phase-wise journey. Now here on the top, you will find other features of the website, like say redevelopment basics, redevelopment pages, how to take a structural approach, guideline 79A, and even structural audit, because structural audit is a in the context of redevelopment. Okay, not how to carry out structural audit, but what structural audit is, how it is to be interpreted, what relevance does it have to redevelopment projects, etc. Help is also there. So this is again a drop down. Here, what you can also see this is on the home page. There are some notes here. Success through structured approach, a phase-wise project. You can see here. Get the most of this website. How to use this website, that is also mentioned here. And here also those webinars which I talked to you about, 10 webinars, are also accessible from the website. You don't have to log in for a website, but if you log in and create a password, then there is certain extra information which is available. Of course, login is free of cost. Okay, but there is extra information which you can take directly. Systems which I say, or standards which you can take directly from there. Start applying with little bit of adaptation for your project. So you can see here, these are the top links here. If I click here, you can see it also there are further links available here um, for the drop down. Here also you can see, so 79A here, like that. Okay, so much about the home page. There's a login here. Okay, so now let me show you some page. Let me show you, let's say, uh, tendering phase. I'm clicking on tendering. Now a new page has opened. Now here also you can see that this page is entirely for that phase. There are notes on this also. Notes pertaining to the tendering process, evaluation selection process, tender documents, bid evaluations. So much is already given. Now what you see here is, again, of course, if you want to go to the other phase, you can click on this and you will go to that phase. But what I would like to tell you is this, that here you see there is a link which is roadmap, milestones, records, and guideposts. These are very, very important links for each phase. The roadmap for phase one, the roadmap for phase two, they will be different. So for each page when you opens, you will get a roadmap for that. Now let's see how the roadmap has been put here. Okay. Now in this, if you see in this page also, as I said, there are three stages. First stage is tendering. Second one is bid evaluation and developer selection. Let me click on tendering. Tendering is one stage of this phase uh, of tendering and developer selection. This is the first stage of tendering and developer selection. Let me click on that, which is there in the roadmap, and see what you get. Now, pay close attention to this. What you see here is that you can see 22 steps sequentially put here for that phase, for that stage. Now, if so, for all the phases together, there would be something like 350 stages in which the entire redevelopment project is covered. The process is covered. Now, if you see here, I will show you how the roadmap has been structured. You can see serial number, step means what is the action to be taken. Okay, like say later for preparation of tender document. Now this is from the society. This is very comprehensive. Don't confuse this with the steps which I showed to you in my presentation, because they were only specific points from the perspective of civil engineers. This is for anyone. This is for society. This is for, I mean, together, anyone and everyone together. So like say for example, take the second stage. Okay, submit draft tender documents to managing committee. By means who is supposed to. So these steps tells you who is to do work on that, the PMC. What are the particulars about that? Tender may be prepared in 2 ways. So there's a short note about that step. And if you finally go here, you see GP here last. GP is guidepost. Now guidepost, you see, in, yeah, M stands for milestone here. R stands for for some steps, milestones are given. So for some steps, records are given. So when you take a step, okay, the step is defined. Along with the step, does it constitute a milestone of a project? Not the few milestones which I talked to you about in my presentation, but a lot of milestones which are important uh, uh, for the entire project. So milestones, is that step a milestone? Does that step create a record uh, for your documentation? And some, so this step has got, if you see, this step of 7 number has got attached to it milestones and record. The 6 number step doesn't have that. Whereas if you see step number 2 has got GP. Now GP means guidepost. So in guideposts which are available only on login, whereas the roadmap, milestones, records, etc. are available at any stage, but GP, that is guidepost, is available only on milestones, only on login, and they are the standards which are sort of so comprehensive that you can actually use them in your project. Okay, so I wanted to just show to you this resource. In fact, on this demo also I can talk for at least half an hour, but that is not what the purpose is of today's lecture. You can always, since this is a public domain website, all access given to you. Even if you want guideposts, you just need to log in, or if you don't want to use guideposts, you can without even login you can do that. You see, so this brings me to the end of today's lecture. So once again, I will conclude by saying this, that I strongly believe that uh, we as civil engineers, with our knowledge of the about the buildings, are best suited to be the PLC for redevelopment. It's only that we need to learn a few things, and believe me, it's going to be what we need to learn is going to be much less complicated, much less complicated than the structural design which we do sort of, kind of nothing. I mean, routinely. This is going to be something much easier. It's only that something, sometimes we have a problem of not wanting to do something which we haven't done so far. So if you are, willing to do work in this field and need some guidance, go to this website. If this website interests you further, if you want some kind of a dialogue with me, I'm most welcome. You're most welcome. For any guidance which I can help you with. And after this lecture, if there are substantial number of people of you who would again want another kind of a webinar or something, or not even webinar, a question answer session or something, a longer one later on, you can communicate to ISSE. We can have a closed section to answer your question, just in case you have some reservations uh, about entering this field, which I personally find quite exciting. Thank you so much. So, if there are any questions, I am here to answer them.
वही मतलब अभी पुराने लोग को हाँ अच्छा अच्छा हो रहा है, नए लोग को इसमें क्या क्या है वो
Yes,
देखना
sir.
पड़ेगा.
Thank you very much for your insightful lecture. Those having anybody having a question, they can write it in the comments, or if you want, they can unmute and they can ask for the questions. Those who are present here. Dhargalkar sir is there to answer your
Yeah, I'm there.
questions.
I'm there. I'm there. Yes.
Yeah. Mayur, just see that whether any comment in comment section there is questions are there or not. If there are any questions, you can read out
हाँ
to
अभी
Dhargalkar
लिमिटेड
sir.
एडिशन चल रहा है ना. हाँ वो तो उन लोगों ने जब भी दिया था फुल था क्या 400 का.
Mayur, are
Hello.
there any questions in the comment
No,
sections?
No,
Or
sir.
no.
anybody, you can unmute if you and you can directly ask there. You can unmute yourself and you can
वो
ask the
पेट्रोल
question if
स्टेशन
anybody
वो
has the
दिखता है
questions.
कितना किलोमीटर जाएगा उसमें. मतलब अभी वो सब कॉमन हो गया है, सीट बेल्ट वाला, दरवाजा खुला है बंद है. अभी एडवांस में मतलब हाँ नहीं वो निकाल के वहाँ लॉक में लगा देने का वो ना. बरोबर.
Santosh, looks like
Yeah.
Santosh, it looks like time to wrap up. I don't think people are having
सीट
questions.
वाले लोग का लगा
They,
देना.
No, but somebody is talking actually. I don't
हाईवे
know.
वगैरह पे हाँ.
yes, someone is. That is him only.
Yeah, speaking. I don't
Santosh.
know whether related to our it
लेकिन
is
इसमें
or
एयरबैग
I
पीछे
don't.
भी होगा ना फिर पीछे.
Mayur,
Hello.
Sir, it was a very nice and informative lecture.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that.
Yeah.
okay, okay.
बैग
Okay. So,
ये नहीं है.
time to sign off.
Yeah. Just I will just give
Yeah.
vote
Yes.
of thanks
Conclude this.
only. Yeah,
Conclude this.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. With conclude, and if anybody has any question, they can directly see the wonderful site that Dhargalkar sir had made. Actually, you can, and actually it is very
कभी गाड़ी
informative
होगी
site, and
आपकी तो फिर आप इधर
I think it is a
इधर घूम
350
लेंगे क्योंकि
steps of the
रिजर्वेशन वाला
redevelopment process you had actually mentioned in that. Very informative site. You can visit that site and you can go through that actually. And if anybody have any questions regarding that, they can directly talk to them, or you can directly talk to ISSE. In that case, we can have some
Right.
arrange one lecture or any question answer session if you have any minds and questions in your minds. So that is there.
Or
So I will.
they can check out the
Huh,
videos also.
yeah, right. That there are 10 informative webinars you said on that. It is also on the site. It is there. So you can go through that, and the redevelopment process actually you can understand in that. I think
It's on YouTube also. It's on YouTube also.
yeah, right. Yeah, on the
So,
YouTube also, na? Okay. So
So,
I think I will now will propose a vote of thanks. Uh, See, actually, thank you, sir, for your insightful and timely webinar. And I think this insightful lecture is a truly tribute to the legendary late R.L. Nene, sir, who always push in innovative and excellence in civil engineering.
very much, very much.
Yeah. And another thing it is, I think from this today's lecture might be, I don't know how many young engineers, aspiring engineers in the audience might have that you have opened up for them a new and exciting career avenue, I think, for them, for the civil engineers and for the seasoned professions like us or Madhav is also there. Those, those for them, actually, you had offered a fresh perspective on the value addition of the strategic leadership in world of and this redevelopment. So thank you, sir, for your this lecture, insightful lecture, very good information you have provided to us.
Thank you,
Um,
Namaskar.
uh, and also the opportunity to civil engineers in these sectors. And your practicing insight and expert knowledge have been invaluable.
चलो
We are sincerely grateful to your times and effort you are taking to share them with us today. I would also like to acknowledge the guidance from our immediate past president, Shantilal Jain sir, who had experienced count, but a great asset to our society. And I finally I will wish to thank to all the participants whose enthusiastic presence and thoughtful questions they are not asked. Actually, I just sending any question. If you can ask the question, that will be a very interactive or interactive section could have happened. But I don't know. But they might have questions. They can directly then they can ask to the Umesh sir. We also delight to see you such a strong interest in the topics as we present. We hope you found this session well valuable and look forward to participation in future ISSE event. So thank you once again,
हाँ पंखे
and
को लगाने बोल बोल विंडो
thank you, sir, and thank you everybody.
Thank you very much. I'm
Yeah,
signing
yeah,
off
yeah,
from
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Okay.
Signing off. Everybody can.
People can send from the website also. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
just in
right,
case they have.
right. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Leaving
Okay,
this.
okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Everybody now you can log off.
हाँ तो वही तो बोला शाम को मेरे को बता कितना देने का है सब मेरे को WhatsApp